Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Cubism. I'm Aaron.
I'm Drew.
And today we're going to be talking about... Well, I guess we've been talking... Well, the internet's been talking about it for a long time.
Mandated to talk about.
Mandated to talk about. You know, but we got to be excited. So we're trying to make it as much as a real episode, or as much as a real set review as possible. So obviously we're talking about Unstable. So Unstable, I guess as of this video, or as of us recording it, comes out in 3 weeks.
3 weeks? It was like 2
weeks.
2
weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Because this Friday is the 1st, so it'll be the Friday afterwards. And obviously with Unstable coming out, it obviously raises the question of what silver border cards do you play in your cube? You know, they've been around for a long time. Booster Tutor is, I'm sure, by far the most commonly played, with a handful of I know there's some common popper ones like Frazzled Editor, or that
Who, when, what, where, why?
That might just be a Winnipeg thing. But yeah, so silver border cards come up. It's been a long time since we've had a silver bordered set. It's been ages. I know I was fortunate enough to play in the
You first pick all the lands.
in the unhinged
Hopefully come away with like 8 of them, 10 of them.
Yeah. But so I played during the unhinged release. Did you play during Unglued?
No.
No, it was just after?
Yeah.
Because you got into Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people have a lot of questions, I guess, on the retail side of it. You know, what's it going to be like? And you know what? I have no idea. Magic's a completely different beast than it used to be back when...
Yeah, a long time since the last one.
Yeah, way different. Way different. So, with Unstable, you know, obviously from Unglued to Unhinged, they ramped it up quite a bit. I was hoping that, you know, the same trend would follow, and Wizards did not fail.
They
did not
did a
disappoint.
lot better this time. Some of these cards are actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's weird. They seem way more off the wall, but reasonable at the same time. I guess contraptions alone do that.
Well, I believe Morrow designed the first 2 sets.
Yeah,
and this
I think
time
so.
they actually put it through playtesting.
Yeah, right.
So which makes sense.
So yeah, before we get into, I guess, our set review, we're going to thank the Mana Base. The Mana Base is your home base for all stuff Magic the Gathering, except for Vintage. Don't go there for Vintage. You can go there for Cube and Pauper. Austin does Pauper now. He no longer does Cube. I want to call him a traitor, but we just kind of, you know.
Who's Austin?
Right. So with Unstable, we get a handful of new mechanics, most of which don't help us
At all.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I still have no idea how contraptions work.
Do you really need to know how contraptions work?
I've tried to read the FAQ.
No, you're a judge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what? Maybe I just get frustrated halfway through. I'm like, no, we're done. You know what? We're not playing them. It's fine. We're moving on. So the next is Host and Augment cards. So I don't know why they're called cards, but the creatures. Again, they're sweet. That might be my favorite part about the set. They're not helping us at all. Now, Last Strike is another mechanic. But you know what? It's good. It's seal of approval.
No problem with Last Strike.
No problem with Last Strike. This one isn't so much a mechanic as there's a theme, and that's outside assistant cards. So, you know, I get to get someone from outside the game to influence my game somehow. And you know,
that kind of existed before with a Vindicate effect. You can
yeah,
destroy someone else's
and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them in this set, though. A lot of them, and there's, you know, we'll be talking about a couple of them. The other one, I guess the last one that isn't rolling dice, because rolling dice is obviously been very common in all the silver bordered sets, is Watermarks. So they went super deep. They made, is it 4 or 5 guilds? Cards affect Watermarks. There's like an Ancient Tomb for Watermarks. It's pretty zany, but
not really applicable.
unless you're building an unstable cube, unfortunately, they got no time for those. So, I guess with that aside, we'll get right into the cards. These are in alphabetical order, no other particular order. And the first card was a card I didn't know how to pronounce, and I still don't know how to pronounce. And that's Amateur Otter.
Not a tour.
I'm pretty sure that translate was very French. I don't think it was a Duper. I think it was Otter.
Otter.
I think it was Amateur Otter.
Okay, we'll go with that.
So Amateur Otter isn't. It's just one of the other million effects you have of it already.
I think it's worse than the Rotom Unicorn.
It's a human. It's strictly
unicorns.
Better. Human is relevant in Cube.
Really? mediocre art. I'm a big fan of Ronan Unicorn.
Strictly better creature type. What are the other ones? Do the other ones?
Kami of Ancient Law, Koala.
The
Spirit?
other 5 that are on my list, it's the best creature type because this one's a human. It gets buffed from Mayor of Averbrook and other human interactions. It's the best one. I'm still not gonna. I actually don't. I don't play any of the other ones either, so I guess I don't. No, I don't.
I play Ronan Unicorn.
You still?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Attacks for 2. It's pretty reasonable.
Like I guess.
This card's not very good against me.
Yeah, but you know what? I wanted to Google what's the percentage of people with glasses versus non-glasses to make Blurry People just a better Looterall core. So our Blurry People, we didn't even talk about the stats of the last card, I guess, but you know it's because it's on 100 other cards. Blurry People is 1 blue for a 1/1. It has Blurry. Can only be blocked if the defending player was wearing glasses when it was cast. I actually didn't read that part initially. So if you don't have your glasses on, I'm casting it and you're not blocking it.
When do I take them off?
I never, but
yeah.
Maybe my teammate, in the spirit of things, is going to steal them. And then I'll have the upper hand.
If you splash water at me, I might have to take them off.
There you go.
And then you can slam this down really fast. Is this the only card with Blurry in the set?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I thought.
That's why it wasn't part of my mechanics, I guess, because there's a lot of one-off mechanics. So, whenever Blurry People does combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. It might be the best looter ever printed.
Depending on your play group.
If your opponent doesn't have glasses, it might be the best one. I'd replace looter.
You can strategically not invite certain people to your cubes. This card's better.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to start naming conditions that I would make my apartment have to make people not want to wear glasses, but I don't know what those would be. I don't have glasses. I don't have glasses problems. That's all. The Lure was great. It's a cyborg Beeble. It has great flavor. I'm happy that they keep bringing back the Beebles from
Is it the only Beeble though?
We're gonna move to the next card, Drew.
Okay. I'm actually a big fan of Squirrels, but continue.
Yeah. So as we were talked about just momentarily when you started playing Magic right after Unglued, you got really into Squirrels. I heard.
Yeah, it was my first deck. We got It was an Odyssey Star deck. I'm forgetting the name. It had beasts in it and squirrels.
Doesn't it have
Chatter the Squirrel and Nut Collector.
Did it have the 4-mana 1/1 threshold? It's +7/7.
Yeah, Corrosion Beast. I still have that card.
I think sweet. Big fan of that card.
It's playable in 250.
So Earl Squirrel was I think it's one of the older cards at this point, but it's 4 green for a Squirrel Advisor. You know, I'm a really big fan of the Advisor creature type. It has Squirrel Link, so whatever damage it's dealt is you also create damage dealt by this creature also creates that many 1/1 Squirrel tokens. In addition, all of your other tokens are also squirrels, and then it gives other squirrels you control +1/+1. So it's not, if you have the nice curve of Deranged Hermit Earl Squirrel, that's pretty good.
But you're not paying the upkeep on your Deranged Hermit.
Alright, then maybe you go Clogger Ranger into Earl Squirrel, because all the Kithkins are now squirrels.
Since we're talking about unreasonable Magical Christmas sign curves, let's get Mirari's Wake out in turn 4, and we can cast both of these in turn 5. Be really good.
So Earl Squirrel's a cool card, because it's zany, but not too zany enough, where if someone played it against me in Commander, I wouldn't be mad. You know what I mean?
It's pretty reasonable. Silver Border could not be. Just because of the weird keyword. It's the only thing that makes
another one of
and
mechanic.
Squirrels. Yeah.
There's the Unstable Release promo that has different art of him, and he looks like one of those old count paintings, if that makes sense. One of those old portraits from the
1980s
for a long time ago.
Okay.
Long time ago. It's pretty sweet. Cool card.
This art's good too.
That's good. Both of them are really good. This is gold acorn for some reason.
Because he's the Earl. He's the leader.
Sure.
It's like the prince.
I do like this card a lot, but if I realistically wanted to fit it into my cube, you know what? Green's randomly got an alley-oop with 6 drops recently. So it's all better in prime time.
Carnage Tyrant?
It's
whatever
more
the
interesting
regrowth
than
dude
Carnage
is?
Tyrant. No, Green Warden's sweet. Even Rampaging Palace is sweet. Maybe this thing made 4/4 squirrels with Trample. That'd be in. This might be the most uninteresting interesting card in the set.
But I like this. I like it a lot. Doesn't matter if it's boring. I just wish it wasn't silver bordered. Actually,
Right. And it's such a modest request. So extremely slow zombie is a 2-mana 3/3 that has last strike in black.
that's it. Perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. It's a modest request. I want another fine 2-drop.
Just Sharpie it.
Could eraser it.
This is really old altering technology from 10 years ago.
Well, it's good because it interacts with Knight of the Kitchen Sink, which is our next great card to talk about. I know you're really excited about it. So before you get too into it, Knight of the Kitchen Sink, if you haven't heard about it yet, is white Cyborg Knight. That's good creature type. 2/2 first strike, protection from black borders. A la True Name Nemesis ish.
Vigorous discussion on Reddit about this card.
Vigorous.
Kind of with attacking from all angles. How good is this card? How related to the True Name Nemesis? Should I bend my cube putting in gold border bolt and white border pyroclasm? If you have to start doing that, probably too good. It's kind of an indication. Warping your cube around it.
So initially that thread also had it spoiled as
One white.
One generic, one white.
A lot of my
It's actually white.
immediate rejection of the card was because it was a one white. I didn't go actually look up the art of this thing.
Right. At 1 and a white, it's super easy to splash. It might feel like it might be too good. But then obviously the comparisons to True Nemesis, it doesn't wear equipment, so that means the clock cannot be faster.
One equipment.
What?
Sword? The new sword? You can wear that sword.
It could wear that sword. That is true. It can't wear regular equipment yet. So it's a lot harder to make this thing much of a threat like True Nemesis is. I don't think this card is anywhere near the power level, especially at being white. But the card's still cool. It's still interesting. I think the only card in my cube that kills it is, other than like Wrath of God, is the only white bordered card that will affect it is Rolling Earthquake. That might be it. I can't think of another one.
Some of the, I guess you don't run Invocations or any of those cards, Masterpieces.
You know what? I didn't think of those. But yeah, I guess those would interact with it. That's pretty funny, actually. That's sweet. More reasons to play Invocations.
It's to sell packs. Sell singles.
So this is a card that I know a friend of mine who runs a multiplayer cube, like a multiplayer, like the 2v2 cube was what started Cube in Winnipeg, and that's kind of how both of us got into it, and it's our roots of Cube. So I always kind of have a soft spot for it. Nathan, or the two's community that plays there, is already kind of like I don't want to say bend the rules, but they're okay with playing these kind of cards already.
They run Booster Tutor, right?
Yeah, they run those kind of cards. So More or Less was probably the card I talked about the most out of the entire set. So More or Less is 1 blue instant. Add or subtract 1 or 1 from a number or number word on target spell or permanent until end of turn. So you just,
how fast can you say that?
With being clear, you know the best part about the flavor text, the best part is you spoiled it already. Is the flavor text. The flavor text is really funny. I recommend checking it out. Anyway, so More or Less, we're thinking like, oh, well, how many cool things can you do with it? Like, maybe your burn spells can do an extra damage or something. That's boring. You know what? Blue can now kill X1s. You now have an X0 dead, right? Oh, I cast Factor Fiction. A Factor Fiction put it in 1 pile. I get all 5 cards, right? You can go. This goes pretty deep. You can look. If you're Liliana the Veil ultimating, you're already in pretty good shape. But then you can make them put it in 1 pile, and they have to choose 1 pile. Right? All gone. All permanents down. It can interact with, like, loyalty. It interacts with channel really well. You pay 0 life, get a colorless mana. It's pretty good. So we went
all your homework on this.
We went really, really deep on this one. We started to go deep on cards like Defense of the Heart. So Defense of the Heart is like during your upkeep, if one opponent controls 2 or more creatures, it'll activate Search Library for 2 or more creatures, or 2 creatures per the play. So we're like, well, what if we change it to 0? But then if you say it, it sounds wrong. Like if none of my opponents control 2 or more creatures, do the things like that. It doesn't sound right. And then you know what? A lot of these just ended as soon as you looked up the Oracle text, because obviously the card doesn't say during or upkeep anymore. It says at the beginning. So what does one trigger? But this card's super sweet. It's like a blue-ish gut shot, kind of, that makes your busted draw spells better. Worst case, it replaces itself on to any other draw spell. Your best case, your Fact or Fiction draws 5 cards. You can Gifts Ungiven and get three of the cards. That's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of small interactions. It's really cool. I think the pretty big ceiling.
I have nothing to add. You've done your homework, and it's tricky.
I like it. It's my favorite kind of. It's subtle, but I think very powerful. 1 blue instant, it's very powerful. Whatever. Well, I'm not gonna start arguing. We'll just turn them into sorcery. Speaking of cards that I've thought a lot about for multiplayer cube, Spike Tournament Grinder is another one. So Spike Tournament Grinder, a controversy aside, because people are dumb on the internet, is a 2 Phyrexian black, 1/1 human gamer. You can pay 4 Phyrexian black to choose a card you own from outside the game that has been banned or restricted from a constructed format. Reveal that card and put that card into your hand.
That's a 1/1.
But it's like a 2-mana 1/1. Is that bad?
You gotta add up all the costs that it takes to get this one card, which it has to be restricted.
Listen.
Has to be
all you had to say was, you don't play with wish boards, you don't play with Spike Tournament Grinder.
We don't have Cunning Wish.
Hit card aside.
We don't play Living Wish.
This card is super interesting. I like it a lot. But it's you can win turn 1 in Nathan's Cube with the Island, Blacker Lotus, Sacrifice for Green, Spike Tournament Grinder, Pay Get Channel, more or less your channel, get infinite mana, cast Emrakul, attack them, take an extra turn, and then Spike again for Time Walk, and they die.
I try not to partake in Nathan's Cube too often,
We're going really deep. I'm sure that isn't the most efficient way to win, but it's really funny, and we're really kind of obsessing over this channel more or less interaction. This card's really cool.
How many cards is that?
It's a 3. It's Blacker Lotus. I guess you need an island too. You need a blue producing land, more or less, and Spike. Not the big deal. It's another day in 2's Cube.
Okay. A lot of life?
Yeah, 25 life. Yeah, this is a million life for paying, no problem.
Okay.
It's worth it. I missed this card until today. Have you ever read this card?
Yeah. I read the whole set the other day. This
card, Drew and I, you see, we only team draft. Very rarely has it ever been that. Is it ever not team drafting?
Something really weird.
It's always team drafting. So any card that affects your outside assistant cards, on my notes there. In theory, your teammates are outside the game, and will obviously just choose the best option for you, instead of what I'm sure they designed it to be, this really zany, wacky interaction. No. So subcontract just is strictly better Thoughtseize.
Technically, Thoughtseize is the same thing as this card, because you usually ask, should we take this card? Is this one bad for us?
Yeah, but you don't lose to life. This card is strictly better. It's a common. People should be worried about common Thoughtseizes. So, team drafting aside, this card probably doesn't do what you want it to do. So all of these, and you know what? This was the best out of the outside assistant cards. This was the best.
Most competitive, cheapest?
Kind of. Like, all the other ones, like, you gain life. I don't care. You do as... Yeah. This is the best one.
Someone's just going to troll you. When
one
you
black,
this.
strictly better Thoughtseize. No problem. Card's great. Has good art. I don't
like the art.
This is old lady trying to spike a drink. I'm in.
From the ceiling?
Yeah, whatever. That's cool. So.
This card's pretty expensive.
Yeah, but it's Booster Tutor, but it's Booster Tutor back with a vengeance. So I'm happy they
Got a booster
printed one
tutor
of
for
these.
legions.
It's that is 15 creatures. So summon the pack. Just the name tells you everything. But it's 7 in a black sorcery. Open a sealed magic booster pack. Reveal all the cards in it. Put all creature cards revealed this way onto the battlefield under your control. They are zombies that turn into the other types. Again, if you chose legions, for those of you who might not know, legions unfortunately was a set with that was 100% creatures.
A lot of them have morph. But that also means a lot of them are larger than necessary. So you got your crows and cloud scrapers and that are zombies.
You gotta open your legions pack and you're like, yeah, I'm putting 15 guys in it, but you're like, wow, this guy costs a lot of mana, but he's like a 8 mana 5/4. That has morph. So that's good. So it's good, sweet. Again, I'm happy that they continued something with something a la Booster Tutor, but was still, kind of new and unique and sweet. It has a watermark on it. I don't know what the name of the watermarks are. So you can watermark Ancient Tomb out faster, depending how deep you go.
Well,
this guy feels like a green
you're
card.
getting cube stuff, right? So it's going to be, assuming
Well,
you use
depends.
a 15 card cube booster pack.
No. We don't legions. We want,
Buy
I want the
your loot
dark.
boxes of legions now before they spike.
is it Fallen Empire as it has 9 cards per booster?
It's not like same Homelands also has almost no cards in the pack.
It's just strictly worse.
Baron
Your odds
Singer
are just
zombie.
worse. So,
But they're super cheap.
this is your Cubism financial tip to buy Legions booster packs now. There's a lot of money to be made there, obviously. Some of the pack, I'm sure, will make a lot of impact. And
You can go around the release events of this and just start peddling it off like it's crack.
you can probably buy them for $5, maybe sell them for 6,
Right on the
7.
spot.
Crazy. So I lied. Super slow zombie isn't actually my favorite card of the set. It's Super Duper Death Ray. Name aside, which is good. They obviously created this card to be interesting, like this was zany and wacky. Like, a burn spell has trample. That's just like a good idea.
It could easily be in a Magic set.
You could just change it to something else, and this is just a regular card.
Like I guess I was going to say overload, but that's actually a mechanic.
Yeah. So yeah, two in a red instant, trample, deal 4 damage to our creature. So obviously any damage that's left over goes to the player. It's kind of like
Planeswalker? Can you redirect that?
well, for now you can.
Okay.
Yeah. In the future, not so much. So this card is like I guess it's you could print a Searing Blaze equivalent or version of this card. Like Searing Blaze is obviously different. That card's pretty amped up, but it's double red, needs land, blah blah blah. But yeah, I like the idea of this. I like the design space of trampling spells. Give it a different mechanic. Is it themed?
It's kind of stuck to be burn, though, right? So you can't trample your card draw spells.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
So it feels like there's a lot of design space, but just attach it to a bunch of lightning strikes and fireballs.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of burn spells, you know what? Well, that's true. We'll bring it up at the end. So this
is the first card spoiled?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of expected all of them to be in the set, and then only
What do
sort
you mean
of.
all of them?
Well, there was the I guess I don't know if you originally saw where this was spoiled. It was a HasCon box promo that came with this thing, Grimlock transform card, a Nerf card, and this card. Is that it? I might be missing one, and the Sword of Dungeons and Dragons. It was like this. It was like a SDCC set, but smaller and at HasCon. It was all their the people that were there, obviously. So this was the most popular card, I think. That's not true. Grimlock was the most popular card, but this one's really close. So like I said, I just assumed they put them all in the set. They didn't. Thankfully, I guess they own Dungeons and Dragons. They probably don't own the rights to print Grimlock in a regular
Or
set.
Nerf gun?
All right. Well, that aside, this card's pretty sweet. I actually looked into it. You know what? I just assumed I had no clerics or rogues in my cube. I do. I have 9 clerics, 5 rogues. None of them are going to block your creature with the sword in it because they're all super small.
They're all 2/2s or 1/1s?
Yeah, Mother Ruin, Self Spirit, Liliana, Heretical Healer, Geist of Saint Draft, Edric, Literal Core is a rogue, and Una, probably the most common rogue.
Una's Prowler.
Una's Prowler. Not Una. Una's not a rogue. So yeah, so it gets +2/+2, no protection from colors, but you get to make a 4/4 dragon. And then if you roll d20, if you is it critical? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
If you critical or crit or whatever the kids call it, at 20, you get another 4/4 dragon. Or that's what you repeat the process. This guy's pretty cool. I don't think it's better than. That's not true. I mean, it might be better than existing equipment.
Well, better is subjective. Like, do you hate protections? This is a less offensive protection.
Yeah. Because the affection's almost irrelevant, right?
And other than that, it's a similar type of power level.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
cool.
like grafted war gear. It's like there's a bunch of cards in this casting cost, so you have to choose what you want. And if you're into running silver cards, it's not the worst.
This is another silver bordered card that doesn't that feels silver bordered, feels zany, but still kind of tame at the same time. Because it makes his dragon.
There's
you
no
roll a die.
dexterity. It's got rolling dice. It's the only signal of it being
The protection
an
is
unset.
pretty much irrelevant, but flavorful.
You don't ask someone from outside to ask whether you get a 4/4 dragon.
Yeah, no, just get a 4/4 dragon. That's cool. Chris Ron did a good job with you. I'm happy that Chris Ron did it. Because you drew all 6 swords. Hey. That brings us to the very end. I wish this card was not very Cryptic Command. Because it isn't really. It's just infinitely worse. And obviously it's not going to... Well, that's not true. I don't want to say obviously it's not going to be better.
It is infinitely worse.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I don't know. This is such a weird card.
I don't know why you put it on here. I don't like this card at all.
This card's weird. They're like, you know what? We're going to make... Cryptic Command's a really popular card. We're going to make a parody of it. But... It's not quite a parody. I guess it is.
Instead of
but
turnabout and creatures, you turn about the lands.
But it's a very Cryptic Command. But it doesn't it doesn't really amp up things more than Cryptic Command did, right?
It's possible that the art is slightly more amped up than the original art because it's pretty glowy.
That's fair. So yeah, very Cryptic Command is 1 triple blue instant. Pretty familiar to Cryptic Command. So you choose 2. Untap 2 target permanents, which is not good in blue. Tap each permanent target player controls with exactly 1 word in its name. So it taps all their basics.
Mana short.
Taps their basics. Discard all cards in your hand and then draw them any card. It wins and changes for some reason. And then my favorite part is to turn target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard to your hand. So the best part about very Cryptic Command is that it can get back Cryptic Command and then actually very Cryptic Command, which is Mystic Confluence. I like the picture. I like that Zoltan Boros did it. I think he did the original one. I might be making that
up. The sword at the end. This is kind of a downer we're ending on.
We got honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
There's I got at least one. I got at least one honorable mention. So yeah, no more for enough for that. So honorable mentions is. Oh, what card did I not put on the list? I don't want to put on the list. Oh yeah, right. So there's a goblin, the 3-mana 2/2 that gives all your creatures with hats menace. I started counting how many creatures I have with hats, and there's a little bit of you're not sure if it's a hat. Like, is Blade Splicer wearing a hat? It's probably a helmet. The helmet doesn't count.
Does hair count as a hat?
So in the super long FAQ that WotC released, Wizard of the Coast, about the set, is obviously the longest one they've ever had. Almost every other card's on the list. They talked about this card in particular, and it specified it has to be the main guy. You know what I mean? If it's, let's say it's Snapcaster Mage has homies in the background. If homie's wearing a hat, doesn't count. It has to be Snapcaster Mage. But if, let's say, it's our Goblin Rabble Master, if one of his goblins that he would make has a hat, then it has menace. As long as it's this subject. It can't be the guys around him.
So, but the hair, I consider a hair to be a hat for your head.
That's why I don't play silver cards.
It just ruins friendships.
So then we got the Vulcan Turn.
Yeah, Vulcan Turn. Actually, it's been printed multiple times under different names.
He's 1 in a blue. It's 1 in a blue, 2 on flying. It has an ability.
Can't block flyers. Or can't block ground creatures. Well, whatever Vulcan Turn has.
It has Stormcrow in the background. And since it's drawn Stormcrow.
Why wasn't that on the list?
We have Crowstorm.
Instead of this very Cryptic Command.
Because I guess you can play, assuming you're playing Storm, you can play this as I didn't get Empty the Warrens. I got to play worse Empty the
Spectral
Warrens.
Possession.
It's just so much worse. You make guys at half the speed. They have evasion, but it doesn't matter. They don't die to Tremor, I guess.
Or Earthquake.
They die to Rolling Earthquake, though, which is the strictly better Earthquake. So, there were a couple we didn't talk about, but, for it being a
Silver bordered set.
Silver bordered set. I thought we
basically
talked about a
no
lot of cards.
intention to play any of these cards.
Wow, you put the illusion on that maybe there's a world where. Well, let me tell you what is cool. The basic lands are sweet. The tokens are sweet. From what I understand, the tokens all come foil. There's double face tokens, and then there's a silver border token. So there's like silver. There's full squirrels, full goblin. The goblin's actually really sweet. All the regular, like the D&D dragons, foil, they're all foil apparently, which is sweet. It's awesome. Big fan.
Still gonna first pick the lands. You gonna draft the set at all?
I don't want to, because I don't want to have to answer questions. Because this set's looks like a rules nightmare. Like I said, Wizards of the Coast did a great job. Hats off to Wizards of the Coast. No one's getting Menace, but they did a good job. I didn't think they could amp it up more than they did, and they impressed me quite a bit. The only thing I wish they'd done is in the previous two, under the collector number, so let's say a card like number whatever of whatever, there was an additional word afterwards.
Got the hidden messages.
Yeah, and if you sort them by collector number and then read them backwards, it was like names of card names they rejected. It wasn't in the set. That's the one thing. So only 7 out of 10.
6.5.
6.5. I guess that's it.
Sounds good.
Once again, we'd like to thank the Mana Base. Mana Base is your home base for all stuff Magic the Gathering. Except for Vintage. And silver bordered sets.
This is silver border content, isn't it?
It's like faux silver border content. A parody, if you will. Anyway, we have real sets coming out eventually. And that'll be great. That is all. Oh, you know what they spoiled forever ago, but we're going to talk about it like it's
that
new.
Giant guy?
They spoiled the, no, not that guy. The new there's more Transform cards. There's the Tolarian Academy Transform.
Oh,
card.
that one.
That's great. Super jacked up with more of those. Those things are great. Big fan. Green one kind of sucked. We'll talk about that in a different review.
And with that, I'm Drew.
I'm Aaron.
Cha-cha.